Hi everyone, Mrs. Below here. In this video, I'm going to be going over the metric measurements or metric measuring lab in case you were absent. This video will provide you the data and explain a little bit of how to do those calculations. First thing I'm going to do, because I forgot to update this, is add in that line right here. My apologies. All right, so in this lab, there were 5 different stations where students made measurements. So the first one was measuring a microscope slide, the length, width, and height of that. So the length was, I actually have rulers that have metric units on them for measuring. So in millimeters, which is pretty small, which makes sense because we're talking about a microscope slide, it was 75 millimeters long, 25 millimeters wide, and then the thickness or the height was 1. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use your metric conversion chart here to show your work in terms of how you're going to convert from millimeters to micrometers. Please make sure you show your work of how you move the decimal. You can show that in this space here by writing 75 and then showing how you move the decimal. You could show that once because then I'm assuming you're doing the same calculation for these other 2. Next, which is very similar, measuring a textbook. This textbook was in centimeters. The measurements were taken. It was 28 centimeters long, about 22 centimeters wide, and then about 5 centimeters in height. Again, you're going to show your work here for how you're converting that number into, in this case, millimeters. Again, using your conversion chart up here. Again, you only have to show moving the decimal once, and I can assume you did the same thing for the rest. Station 3, you had to weigh 5 pennies, which was about 15.501 grams. And then you have to show your work. So for simple math, from here to here, this is the simple math part. You just need to calculate the average. So if you had 5 pennies, mathematically, how can you calculate the average of 1 penny? Be sure to show that work in the space provided here. And then you're going to take that value and convert it into milliliters using this equality here and showing 1 picket fence. Next was determining the volume of an irregular object, in this case beans, by taking a before and after volume. So let's say we have a graduated cylinder, we fill it up with 15 milliliters of water, we add the 10 beans, and then after our volume has now gone up, which makes sense because we added 10 beans to it, to 17 milliliters. So then the volume of the beans themselves would be the difference between these 2, which would be 2. So that would be your answer right here. So that would count for simple math. I'm showing you that in this video. For the next few steps, again, this was for 10 beans. So what do you need to do mathematically to calculate the average for 1 bean? Make sure you show that simple math here. And then you're going to take that value and convert it into grams by showing 1 picket fence using this value here. And then lastly, you're going to take that answer and you're going to move the decimal to convert those grams into milligrams. The last station was measuring the width of the room using meter sticks. So at the back of my classroom, I can lay out 7 full meter sticks, and then at the end, right before we get to the end of the wall, there are 35 centimeters. So if you think about it, 7 meters is equal to 700 centimeters because 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. So if we have 7 meters, which is 700 centimeters, plus the 35 centimeters, that's 735 centimeters. So that's the simple math part. And then for this part, you're going to use your previous answer, and you're going to do 3 picket fences. So you kind of need to solve for converting centimeters into inches first, and then take that value, convert it into feet, and then that value and convert it into yards. If you have any questions, please make sure you see me prior to turning this in.